Trump tax cuts 2.0 can't wait, and that's the subject of the riff. During the Trump years of his first presidential term, real average weekly wages, a.k.a. take-home pay, rose over 9%. During the Biden years, take-home pay plunged 3.6% for his entire term, at least up until the latest data. One more stat, just one. Median household income during the Trump years rose $7,700. That's pre-COVID, adjusted for inflation. During Mr. Biden's term, median income rose only $1,000. Now, those two numbers, take-home pay and median income, have a lot to do with Mr. Trump's landslide election victory. These were the kitchen table issues for Mr. Trump's working-class majority that spanned all races, cut so heavily into the Democrats' former coalition. The economy ranked first in every poll. Now, when working folks are losing money and they can't afford gasoline or groceries or electricities or new cars or new homes, color plays no role. It's about the economy. And more than enough people remember how good they had it during the Trump years and how poorly they had it during the Biden-Harris years. Here's my point. The sooner President-elect Trump can restore the blue-collar boom, the stronger his political position will be in Congress and all across the country. And that's why I'm concerned that the new administration may not start their legislative agenda with tax cuts. We are hearing that there'll be two reconciliation bills, the first tackling energy, defense, and the border. The second would reauthorize expiring tax cuts later in the year. I don't think tax cuts should wait, just as I don't think Mr. Trump's working-class coalition thinks tax cuts should wait. They want better take-home pay and lower inflation. Now, I'm all in favor of whatever it takes to produce 3 million more barrels of oil a day and bring down gasoline to $2 a gallon. I'm totally in favor of building the wall in order to close the border. And if we're going to shift from Biden's appeasement to a Trumpian policy of peace through strength, we're going to need a stronger and more efficient Pentagon. But leaving tax cuts in the dust for some later date did not strike me as a good idea in economic or political terms. I mean, look, why not one large-scale reconciliation bill, which until recently was being promoted by House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and others. By the way, that bill would only require a majority of 51 votes. Now, why not push the boundaries of fiscal policy to include all of the previously discussed issues? Remember Treasury Secretary-designate Scott Bessent's 3-3-3 formula. It's very, very good. 3% or better growth, reduce the deficit to 3% or less of GDP, and add 3 million more barrels a day. All good. Smart guy. Tax cuts will help enormously to get us above 3% growth and reignite the blue-collar boom. And people should be listening to Senator Mike Crapo, who's expected to lead the Senate Finance Committee next year, who said the cost of legislation should be measured against current policy, which assumed the popular Trump tax cuts will be extended forever. Mike Crapo has noted on this show that in terms of the scoring protocols by the Congressional Budget Office, if you let spending go on forever, thereby increasing every year, right, nobody scores that as a higher deficit. But for some reason, if you let tax cuts go on forever, they want to score that as a huge deficit increaser. Maybe with a static scorecard, a tax hike of $4 trillion. That is nonsense. If spending is current policy, tax cuts should be current policy as well. Here's what Senator Crapo told me a couple weeks ago, right here on this show. Take a listen.
And let me tell you another interesting thing, Larry. Under the spending protocols that we use and the scoring protocols, extending current spending does not score as a deficit.
Oh.
But extending current tax increases scores as a deficit. Right. It's ridiculous.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, one very smart fellow. By the way, those same tax cuts from Trump 1.0 have yielded an enormous revenue windfall. Economist Larry Lindsay, in a report last summer, he noted that the corporate income tax alone has produced better than 30% higher revenues than originally predicted by CBO back in 2016, the year before the Trump tax cuts were passed. And the top 1% of taxpayers continue to pay more and more of the total share, now coming to nearly 46%, which, by the way, is a good reason to cut those individual tax rates as much as possible. Then the importance of the 1099 small business tax deduction. And remember, small business folks with their LLCs, they pay the individual income tax. And Steve Forbes is right. Reducing the capital gains tax will not only power economic investment and productivity and growth, it will also generate a massive revenue windfall, just as it has in the past. The sooner Trump 2.0 tax cuts can get moving in Congress, the happier those working-class Trump voters are going to be. And the faster the blue-collar boom will reignite. And that is tonight's riff.